Welcome to Roadtrip WDW. I'm your host, Rebecca Schlau. This is episode 15, and I'm continuing my Disney World trip review. Last time, as you recall, we touched on my Universal trip, and I talked about my experience and how I added it on to an existing trip to Disney. Now, Disney World was the original trip that I'd planned. I typically plan my Disney World trips about a year and a half, even sometimes 2 years in advance. I know that's kind of excessive, but I usually have my location in mind at least a year and a half in advance. I do like to book as early as possible. Now, if you want to book a hotel at Disney World before a year or longer, you will have to call them directly. The hotel rates and packages usually aren't available for, like, for instance, 2020's packages and rates just got released, and it is the middle of June right now of 2019. So 2020 just now got released. That doesn't mean you can't book them. You just couldn't book them online. So I had this vision that I'm going to try all these nice deluxe resorts. And the last time that we had gone to Disney World, I booked the beach club and I loved it and it was amazing, but I knew we needed to try something different. The idea for this year's resort came from just years of riding the monorail. We don't actually rely on Disney transportation like the buses to get us to and from the theme parks. So since we drive our van, we have to go park in like the Magic Kingdom parking lot. Well, if you park in the Magic Kingdom parking lot, you have to take a monorail then to get into the Magic Kingdom. So it's kind of complicated, but if you don't drive there, then you'll never really get to ride the monorail unless you make a special trip for it. So we've never really minded this system, but every time we ride the monorail, we will immediately kind of fly by the Grand Floridian in all its splendor. It's beautiful. It's like turn of the century white. It's dreamy. Now, a long time ago, I stayed there, but I was only 18 and I wasn't really old enough to appreciate how amazing this resort was. Plus, there's been a lot of changes in the last 20 years. So we decided to stay there. For the next 20 or 25 minutes, I'm going to go over some details about DVC, Disney Vacation Club, renting, and also annual passes. If you are not interested in ever renting Disney Vacation Club points or buying an annual pass, or if you're just a complete newbie to Disney World and that does not interest you at all, either of those two topics, just go ahead and fast forward about 20 or 25 minutes. If I was still a newbie to vacation planning to Disney World, I probably would not be interested in these topics. So that's why I'm giving you guys a fair warning. Y'all may just want to skip on ahead. So getting back to the trip planning process for this year, I rented Disney Vacation Club points this time, something I'd never done. Now, for those of you who don't really know what DVC is, it's essentially a timeshare thing, and a lot of Disney lovers think there's great value in it. It's a lot of money to invest in to become a DVC member, essentially to have a timeshare at Disney. It's a lot of money. And one of the ways that you can still get some of these perks and still save some money is to rent other people's DVC points. These are the Disney Vacation Club points. With this timeshare system, each member that buys into it gets a certain number of points. And if you don't use your points, you don't just lose them, but you can rent them out. So I did a lot of research on this because this is kind of a complicated subject to me and I'd never done it before, but I kept hearing people say rent DVC points. The advantage to renting a DVC property is you're at one of the major deluxe hotels and you typically have a big room, one that has a kitchen and has washer and dryer. So you're actually staying in more of a condo sort of setting or at least a bigger space area. I think at Polynesian, they have DVC studios, which is just bigger than a hotel room, but it's not, it's not as nice as a condo. But I knew I wanted to try the Grand Floridian, and I knew I wanted some bigger space. And the only way I could feasibly do that financially would be if I found a way to cut costs and rent DVC points. So I did my research. I found out that there was like 2 major companies that everyone was talking about. There's David's DVC rental, and there was also like DVC rental something. It was the other one. And I priced them both out. Now the primary DVC rental company, it's free to kind of estimate your project. It's free for them to look for a spot for you. It's free for them to do all this heavy lifting ahead of time to find your DVC rental for your vacation, in about a year. Now with David's, it's different. They charge you to look up that information for you. Now, there's pros and cons to this. Now, David's does charge you a fee out front, but they add that fee into your whole vacation rental once you actually commit to it. So they don't want to do the work and then you flake out on them essentially. But it's actually cheaper to do it that way than if you do the major DVC rental store. Yeah, I think that's what it's called, DVC rental store. Now, DVC rental store, they will look up all of your information for you. They will find you points, or at least kind of give you an estimate of how much it would cost, and they tell you whether there's availability or not. Now, just because there's availability of points, this is where it gets confusing, doesn't mean you're actually going to get that reservation. So they actually try to make you put like your first and second, third choice down, but I didn't. I only wanted one place, and if I wasn't going to get Grand Floridian, I was going to try something else on my own. I didn't want them trying to match me up with my second choice. So I put in my dates. I put in, I wanted to stay at Grand Floridian. And then you wait. Regardless on which DVC rental company you choose, you play this waiting game. So I ultimately decided to go with David's after I was kind of sneaky, and I went ahead and made sure through the DVC rental store, their free system, I made sure that there was actually some availability of points to be rented at Grand Floridian. Again, I really don't know how all that works, but I knew that there was points available, so I felt kind of confident that I could throw some money at David's and secure a reservation through there. Now, most owners of these DVC rental points, they're going to try to get more bang for their buck for renting out their points. They're going to go to the company that gives them a better rate. David's does not give them the best rate. It actually saves the renter more money than it does renter. That gets kind of confusing. Like, it would save me a little bit more money to go through David's, but it would actually make the owner of the DVC agreement lose like $1 per point or something like that. So a lot of them may try to go to DVC rental store because they'll give them $1 more per point. So I knew it was a bit risky, and I had to wait 3 weeks going this route, like 3 weeks or maybe even more to secure my week, or actually it was about 9 days of vacation. I had to get a lot of points. It took a while, and it was really, I don't know, for someone who's a planner like me, it was kind of stressful. Like, I like to know what I'm doing. I don't like to wait. But about 11 months before my trip, I was able to actually try this, which again kind of scared me because I like booking a year and a half in advance, and I wasn't able to. So I had to wait like 3 weeks or so before I was able to actually get my reservation. Now, had they not been able to actually get me what I wanted, they would have refunded me that money. But if they found their reservation and you just decided against it, they would have kept your deposit. Now, I think like the deposit's like around $150 or something like that. So anyway, at that point, it is risky because you got to buy it all right then and there. You got to fork over the money at that point by going David's. You cannot just pay installments or anything like that. You have to, for me, I just threw it on a credit card and said I was going to pay it off, which hurt a little bit because I usually rely on my tax return money to go towards our vacation. So I was having to do this, just a few months before, I guess several months before Christmas and things like that. So that kind of hurt a little bit, but it sure was nice this year knowing I had everything paid for in advance. So ultimately, long story short, I rented DVC points, and just do your research if you're really interested in that, or if you want to know more about how I did that, you can feel free to message me on the Facebook page. Now, if you look for us on Facebook, that will be under Roadtrip WDW. And I've recently separated my 2 podcast pages from the original Roadtrip cast page into Roadtrip WDW and Roadtrip Branson, because Roadtrip Branson is my other podcast. So I'd already had in mind that we were going to be staying at Grand Floridian. I wanted to stay there because it is a monorail hotel, which meant I could roll my big old double stroller straight on there. And it was really close to the Magic Kingdom. And we could also ride the monorail over to Epcot. So to me, it was like easy, walkable, essentially, parks. And I like that. And I really wanted to give it a try. And so that was the original plan. Now, anytime I go to Disney World, I always, if possible, I like to go early. So if there's any possible way I can get to Disney early, I'm going to try. And if I do, you can always bet that I'm going to book my few extra days. And they're usually, well, pretty much always before my actual reservation starts. So before the Grand Floridian trip started, I actually had several days to work with, which is why I added Universal. And then I added 2 nights at the Dolphin. And I always do that. I always book my extra days at the Dolphin. I love the Dolphin Hotel. It's a great location, great amenities. It's beautiful. It just feels like vacation. It's one of my favorite spots. And so for me, knowing I got to go to the Dolphin was a really great way for me to kind of kick off that Disney World feeling. And now, even though we were going to Disney World early, like right after Universal, we were literally driving down the road, we weren't actually going to go to any of the theme parks. So I wasn't going to go to Epcot. I wasn't going to go to Magic Kingdom. But I did want to try some restaurants I hadn't tried in Disney Springs. I love walking around the area right outside the Dolphin. It's called the Boardwalk. It's around a beautiful lake. And I think it's called Crescent Lake or something like that. And there's lots of things to look at, to do. There's entertainment on the boardwalk, things we do pretty much every year if we get a chance. And I was just looking forward to spending time with my family. Also, my husband's family decided that they were going to join us for a few days. It's so much easier to have people, family members, join you last minute when you're not planning to actually go to a park. One of the most stressful things ever is when you plan a trip, you get all your fast passes, you plan all your dining, and then after you've already done that, you have 1 family or 2 family members say they actually want to come too. The problem is you want them to come too. You truly do. It will be so much fun. However, you just created a lot more stress because you have already made your reservations. So for us, it was perfect because it wasn't a park day. And it was pretty easy to add a few extra seats to one of our dining reservations on that first night. So before we check into the Dolphin, we woke up from Universal at the Hard Rock Hotel. We packed up and we headed it's literally just several minutes down the road from the Universal hotels to the Disney hotels. It was too early to check into the Dolphin, so I didn't even attempt. But it was getting towards that 11 o'clock hour. I wanted to go to Disney Springs. I had a few missions. One, I needed to activate my annual pass. I never bought an annual pass. This was brand new. I bought it online. And the reason why I decided to buy an annual pass is because the cost of buying an annual pass ended up being cheaper than 2 of our trips. Tickets for 2 of our trips. And if I plan my next year's trip after this one, literally like a week earlier, then it would still count as the same year. And that's how I went about it. Now, there's also a lot of perks to buy an annual pass. Now, if you're a Florida resident, your annual pass will cost different. You'll have a different pricing structure. But I guess probably a lot of you, if you're listening, you live out of state like me, you will have only 2 options. And we always love going to water parks and things like that. So we chose kind of the higher level, I don't know what it's called, like Premier or Platinum, I think, Platinum Pass. And that allows us to park hop. We can go to all the theme parks and all the water parks as much as we want. And again, I priced out my tickets, how much it would cost. I priced them out on the Disney World website. I priced out tickets on undercovertourist.com website. And then I looked at the cost of the annual pass. So again, we do stay long trips. You know, a lot of families may stay 7 days, but again, a lot of times we end up tacking on a few extra days. So we may end up staying 8 or 9 days. And so for us, we stay long trips. We like having that flexibility. So if we're going to go to parks for, 14 days, it made financial sense to just go ahead and buy annual passes. Plus, something to factor in if you were ever like me and kind of considering an annual pass. Like if you knew you were going to go twice in a year, I'd consider it. And if you were going to spend a lot of time in the parks, I'd consider it. But also there's some perks that can add up quite quickly. If you do buy an annual pass, the Memory Maker photo package comes with it. Now, Memory Maker, if you recall, is you pay usually near $200 to get all of your pictures downloaded for free. Well, obviously not for free, but you can download all your pictures that Disney PhotoPass photographers take. So you'll see like cute pictures in front of the castle or your ride pictures. There's different photographers and stations set up all over Disney World, Disney Springs, even the water parks. When you meet characters, things like that, you get all those, you have access to all those to download those. Now, if you just bought one picture, a la carte, that'd be $15 for a download. So Memory Maker is usually around $200, $189 or something like that. So with an annual pass though, that comes included. So you kind of think about that to $200. Now, if you're driving and you're not staying on property, the next perk to an annual pass is really important. It doesn't really factor into me because we always stay on property. Even Swan and Dolphin are considered on property. But if you aren't staying on property, you do have to look at parking and the cost of parking. If you do have an annual pass, you get to avoid parking fees at the parks. And I think parking's anywhere between like $25 to $40, something like that. Like it's gotten pretty expensive. So it makes a lot more sense to either stay somewhere on property so you don't have to pay parking, or if you have an annual pass, you can avoid all that. Some other perks to having an annual pass would be you get discounts everywhere. You get discounts. A lot of times there'll be merchandise discounts. You'll get 10 to 20% off when you go buy souvenirs, t-shirts. You get discounts on some food. There's going to be some restaurants that offer 15%. Right now they're running a special for about a month that certain restaurants actually get up to 20% off, which I'm going to talk about this in just a second because that leads me to kind of the next topic. So just make a mental note. I'm going to talk about the 20% food discount in a second. You also get discounts on tickets to certain events. So if you are attending one of those special events, an after hours event, early morning magic event, party event like the Christmas party or the Halloween party, you will typically get some sort of discount. And the discounts may not seem like a lot, like 10 to 15%. But if you're paying $100, $15, that's 15% of $100. That's $15. That will add up. It does add up. It does save you money. It's very valuable. I can't tell you how many times we used the annual pass discount, whether it was when we were just getting candy at the candy store or whether I was buying some shirts I was definitely going to buy anyway. So it's really great to have some of those discounts. And if you're on the fence about buying an annual pass on whether it's worth it, you do have to factor in these perks. Some of the perks I've recently discovered that I really didn't even, honestly, I didn't even think about was that I get a 15% discount on a lot of these special tours, these VIP tours. And VIP tours and guided tours I really think they're becoming the future. Special events and tours are becoming the future of Disney World if you want to experience all the great rides as much as you want, like with more flexibility and in one day. So if you want to ride all the great big popular rides, in normal daytime hours, not just right when it opens and not just right when it closes, you'll have to do some sort of tour. So like there's the Day of Thrills tour where you get to ride a lot of rides at, Magic Kingdom, and then you go to Epcot, and then you go to Hollywood Studios, and you get to ride all like the major rides with huge lines, and they just walk you right up to the very front. You will pay a hefty price tag for tours like this. We're talking anywhere, some of the tours I looked at, anywhere between $100 up to like $350, maybe even more. And for some people, though, it's worth it. If you have a very limited time, some of these tours are totally worth it. Yeah, you'll be shelling out a few $100, but you also, you get a whole park knocked out in one day. And for a lot of us, because the way fast passes work, and because we don't want to wait in lines, it's not feasible to ride all of our favorite rides in one day. We got to go back over a few days. So there's going to be times when tours like that can be feasible, and it hurts the wallet, but it allows you to get more things done and all the things you actually want to get done without having to rely on tiered fast passes or fast passes in general. So I just found out my tour I want to do, which is about $100. I'll get 15% off of that. And that's great. 15% of that, that adds up, especially if you were, if you were going to go on that $350 one, that's going to be like, I don't know, 50 something dollars that it would save you just to have an annual pass or something. Yeah. Like 45, like 50, $52, something like that. So there's a lot of benefits to having an annual pass, which made it even easier to make that decision for our family. I did have to fork over it felt like a lot of money. And again, this was pretty soon after I'd already had to fork over our Grand Floridian stay. I was pretty broke there for about 7 months. It seemed like I knew I'd be able to, pay off my credit card, which I, charged it on. I knew I'd be able to pay it off towards the beginning of the year. But I will say it did cause some financial stress there for a few months. But again, I knew I was going to be able to pay it off. I did have the means to do that. And I did have savings I could have used to pay it off right then and there. But I just kind of wanted to do it incrementally. So I bought the annual pass. With the annual pass, you have the ability to buy what is called a Tables in Wonderland card. Now, you can also buy a Tables in Wonderland card if you are a Florida resident or you are a Disney Vacation Club, a DVC member. Or, like for us, we were annual passes. This card costs $150, but it saves you 20% at most of the sit-down dining restaurants in Disney World. So if you look at how much these restaurants cost you, for a lot of families and a lot of people, this really, really can save you a ton of money. It adds up. This also includes alcohol in that price. So if you just went and had a few glasses of wine somewhere, you could use your Tables in Wonderland card and get 20% off of that. And Disney rates are notoriously high, so saving 20% is great. Now, once you do use a Tables in Wonderland card, no matter how big your party is, I think all the places will go ahead and add 18% gratuity, which this is going to be shady. I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all I am kind of shady. But if a waiter goes ahead and adds 18% gratuity to the ticket, even if I normally would have paid 20% or more, I just kind of, go with it, and I just give them their 18%, sign off, and that's it, because it's already included. Now, if it's up to me, I usually always give 20% or even more. But if it's already factored in for me, then I'm just giving that. Now, if someone's amazing, awesome, I will go out of my way to give them more than 18%. But if I have, typical great service from Disney, for me, if the 18% was included, I just kind of did that. So think of me what you will. But, only giving 18%, that even saved me a little bit money. There's some people that joke about in the long run, your Tables in Wonderland card does save you money, and it saves you a grand total of 2%, which is kind of funny because 18%, 20% gratuity. The card covers 20% of your food. So it essentially covers how much a lot of people would spend on tip, but you get 2% back, I guess. So for us, this card will pay off. I haven't run the numbers this time to see if we've actually got more than we've paid. I don't know if it's paid for itself yet, but if you do a lot of character meals or do a lot of sit-down meals, this is something you may want to look into if you are Florida resident or you are an annual pass or a DVC member. For us, I'm glad we got it. I'm definitely going to take advantage of it for the next few trips. You gotta be real careful with this card because they don't replace them cheap. You'll have to pay $50 to replace it. And it is a flimsy little paper card. So keep that in mind. All right. So we get to Disney Springs. I activate my annual pass, which means I can start using it at the parks, and I get my Tables in Wonderland card. And then we go to lunch. We go to places usually that my kids enjoy, and one of our favorite places in Disney Springs is T-Rex. It is a chain, and I know some of you may have already seen them in different locations, but in Arkansas, we don't have any. So T-Rex is really special to us. Even places like Rainforest Cafe, which are a little bit more popular chains, that's special to us too. So T-Rex is owned by the same company that owns Rainforest Cafe. So it's highly themed inside. So it's like Rainforest Cafe, except the theme is dinosaurs. There are dinosaurs all throughout the restaurant. The decor is amazing. Kids even get afraid of some of the dinosaurs. They have like a meteor shower looking event every so often, 20, 30 minutes. And then a lot of the little statues of dinosaurs, you realize they're animatronics and they come to life and they roar, and it's really cute. It's a great spot to just look around in. Even if you do not get a spot to eat here, I would highly recommend just walking through T-Rex, even if you don't have a reservation. And even if you don't have a reservation, you can go into the gift shop of T-Rex. And then through the gift shop, there's actually a door that goes to this outside patio area. It's kind of like a dino dig pit. It's filled with lots of little teeny tiny pebbles that will get stuck in your shoes and your kids' shoes. And, but you can just knock them out. And you can have your kids dig around for dinosaur bones. It's adorable. I highly recommend doing that. Kids love it. Even if you don't eat there, you still, they're not there policing the gate saying you can't come in if you don't have a reservation. Now, we did not have a reservation to T-Rex. I don't need reservations to T-Rex or Rainforest Cafe or any Landry's owned restaurant because I'm a Landry's Select member. Yeah, y'all, I'm fancy. Last year, I gave them $25, which immediately gave me like a $25 welcome credit. And then around my birthday, they give me another $25 credit like towards my meal. So I'm a Landry's member. And the biggest perk here is I get to get seated almost immediately. I don't have to have a reservation. I get bumped to the front of the line. So even if there's a huge wait line for people waiting for a table, if I come up, I pretty much just walk right in front of them. When you sit down at the table, they'll ask you for it. And then like the manager has to go run it. And they give it back to you, and you get to apply any credits you have. So it's kind of cool. It's completely worth it. Again, it paid for itself immediately, and then it keeps paying for itself because they keep giving me money every single year that it's my birthday. So we were able to get a table right away. We look over the menu. I kind of make notes every year on what we like, what we don't like. The food is not amazing. It's kind of typical. You will probably find something you like. You will probably not find something that you are amazed about, crazed about. It's not going to be your favorite eatery for food, but it will be one of your kids' favorite places to visit in all of Disney Springs. And for us, the food is fine. We do read a lot of negative reviews that come up, but we read negative reviews about every place. So you will just have to, if you're really worried about it, look up the menu online and see if it's something that you're interested in. They do have a bunch of frou-frou drinks they try to sell you in ridiculously priced souvenir mugs. Don't do it, y'all. Don't do it, because then you'll have nowhere for that souvenir glass mug. Don't do it unless you really, really, really want it. So we eat there, and this time was no exception. We met up with my sister-in-law, and then we walked to the candy store afterwards. Now, the candy store is called Goofy's Candy Co. We love this because you can get samples of little slushies there, and I think we even got a slushie this time. Usually we just are those bums that just bum a few samples off and we like it, but I think we may have got one this year, but I'm not real sure. We always buy candy. I mean, we always give them, we always throw money at them, so I don't feel bad, even if I don't buy a slushie. We always throw money at them because I let my kids pick out a bag of candy. And it will be kind of like a candy store where you have the bins and you scoop how much ever of certain kinds of candy you want. There's not tons of options like some of the other places, like that iSugar place in Branson or some of these other huge candy stores. It's different. It's not as, the selection is not as varied, but it's fine. It works. I let my kids pick out a bag of candy during the first part of our trip because I will use this same bag of candy for leverage later if they're being bad. If I will take candy away, if they are being good, I will let them eat some of their candy, things like that. So for us, for our family, candy is a very good bargain, not necessarily a bargaining tool, but it is a source of consequences. I usually buy a treat there. I love my Rice Krispie treats dipped in chocolate, dipped in M&Ms. You also get to look at people making these treats, and that's one of the best parts about Goofy Candy Co. is it's kind of like a little attraction in itself. You get to watch people make cotton candy. You get to watch people make these elaborate caramel apples, or these elaborate cake pops or Rice Krispie treats. They dip them in chocolate. I mean, right there in front of you, and you just look through the glass, and it's amazing. Now, one year, and I'm not saying they do this all the time, but one year they were making cotton candy, and they actually gave us some. They gave us a little sample. I guess my kids looked pretty cute. So we did that, and at that point, it was time to head back towards the car and to get to the Dolphin. Now, this is something that I didn't think I was going to share, but I am such a nerd. Every time I go to Disney World, we drive there. I need to go under, there's several big, kind of like Welcome to Disney World signs, like Disney World signs, Walt Disney World, and you drive under them, and they have like Mickey and Minnie on the outside of them. There's these big signs, and it's like you're home and you feel that magical feeling. Well, they changed the roadways up, and the way that we went, the new way to get to Disney Springs from the Universal was we actually bypassed some of the roads, which saved us time, but also meant we didn't get to go under a sign. So I made my husband drive us out, stop at a gas station for a few things we needed. So we did kind of need to go outside of the Disney World. And then I made him drive us back in so that I could get that real entering Disney World experience. And I always like to take a picture of it. He thought I was crazy, and maybe I am, but I have that picture. I think he actually ended up using it as our Facebook, the group info photo. So he obviously likes it too. We check into the Dolphin. Immediately upon check-in, everyone's super friendly, and they ask me if I want to upgrade our room. I think it was I think it was around $40 a night. We could upgrade it to a balcony room or something other than just a standard 2-queen room. We could have got a theme park, a firework view. And I was like, well, what about, I'd really like a patio. You got anything by the pool, something like that? And sure enough, she had something on the bottom floor with a patio pretty much right by the pool. And we could have walked out our patio onto the sidewalk and then walked straight to the pool. We didn't even have to, go in the hallway, which was amazing because a lot of times we end up getting rooms that are super far away. Something about the Swan and Dolphin, though, especially the Dolphin, is that there's lots of little coves in the building. It is a beautiful architectural, just joy to look at. but it is not fun to navigate when you're staying there and you're not in an easily accessible room. Like there's different elevator banks, and it's funny, we call them, there's different wings of the building. We end up calling them fingers because they're sticking out into the lakes. You have to go around these different fingers of the building if you're walking on the outside. So it can be kind of complicated. So we got a really good room, and we thought it was well worth the upgrade. An upgrade like this would have cost me a lot more money if I would have booked it online. So I was very happy and pleased that we were able to book an upgrade. Again, the Dolphin is amazing. You get your mini fridge. You have an amazing pool. You have access to a lot of things right away. They also have a really cool gym. This is the first time I'd ever used their gym. It's pretty state of the art in that they have this room where you can, before you go in, you can pick on a touch screen which sort of exercise program you want. So you pretty much pick your YouTube video. Like, which YouTube video do you want to work out to now? And they have different, it's almost like one-on-one personal training with a video. So it's pretty cool. They have a variety of weights, different machines. I hit the treadmill that kind of overlooked a window, and I didn't do much else. So I can't say that I experienced everything the gym has to offer, but I did like it, and it will definitely work if you are on a healthy plan and you don't want to break that. So first day, we get ready and go to the pool. It's awesome. I even let my 2-year-old son go down. They were fine letting him go down, as, they just said if he can go down, that's fine. It was really up to us. And I let my son go down. I didn't let him sit up, sit down and go down. I kind of laid him back so he would lay down going down it. Now, we did have his puddle jumper on, which are his little floaties, and we did have someone down at the very bottom of the pool to catch him when he got in. He loved it. He had so much fun. We loved the waterfall at the pool, and we had a great time. At this point, we met back up with my father-in-law, my uncle-in-law, and his girlfriend, my sister-in-law. We met up and went out to eat at the Yachtsman Steakhouse at the Yacht Club. Now, the Yacht Club is within walking distance to the Swan and Dolphin Hotel. The Yacht Club is part of what I would consider the Boardwalk Resorts. They are the Epcot resorts that are surrounding that little lake. I think I already said, I think it's around Crescent Lake. And we walked over there from the Dolphin, and I already had my reservation. And I highly recommend reservations here, even though I really think they could probably fit you in. They're not a restaurant that fills up too much, but since we had so many people, I wanted to make sure we got in. And so I did have a reservation. The Yacht Club is an awesome resort. I used to stay there when I was younger, but something that's just wonderful about the Yacht Club, it's connected to the Beach Club, the resort we stayed at last year, and we just love it. We just love this area. But Yachtsman Steakhouse is my favorite. It's probably my favorite restaurant in the world at this point. Their steaks are so good. And I'm one of those weird people. I like my steaks medium well, and everyone always gives me a hard time, but the steaks here are so good. We usually share a few appetizers and then get an entree to share between my husband and I. The food is pricey there. That is one deterrent. Now, any place in Disney World, any nice place, it's going to be pretty expensive, and it's no different here. If you're on the dining plan, I think it even may cost 2 credits. You'll have to do some research on that if you're not on the dining plan and don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so, a little filet, I don't know if it was an 8-ounce filet, something like that. It was close to $50. We also, to go along with that, also get this amazing lobster bisque. And it's my favorite lobster bisque on property. I've tried lobster bisque at pretty much every place that offers it. I usually try it. So in all of Disney World, Yachtsman has the best lobster bisque, guaranteed. We also may get a salad. I also get some truffle mac and cheese to share with everyone. The sides that you can get, because you have to buy a la carte. So it's one of those things where your steak may come with mashed potatoes underneath it, but it doesn't really come with anything else. It doesn't come with your salad or soup or anything like that. You have to include that in. So we got some truffle mac and cheese, which is so good. It's easy to share. For instance, we didn't even get kids meal. We may have got one kids meal, but we just got a big order of this truffle mac and cheese, and we were able to share that amongst all the children and still have some left over. But it's really good. So other people had different things. The lobster bisque was a big hit. Everyone's steak was fabulous. Everyone loved the steak. My sister-in-law got this seafood tower, and it was delicious. By the time we got out, I timed it where it was evening. It was starting to be evening, so the sun was starting to go down. It's a great time to go to the boardwalk. So you can either walk there. It is within walking distance because you can see it like right when you walk out of Yachtsman Steakhouse. You're pretty much looking over their pool, over their lake, and it's a beautiful setting. There's this big dock, and you can go up to this lighthouse looking thing. And if you just look across the lake, you see this big boardwalk area, and it's all lit up, and it's supposed to look like Atlantic City, like the turn of the century feel, and it's awesome. So you can either walk over there or catch a ferry, and we just caught a ferry because so there's some boats that pretty much just go back and forth to the boardwalk yacht club. It just takes you there so you don't have to walk. And so we caught the ferry, and then our mission was to go to Ample Hills Creamery, which is a great ice cream place there. I think there's a chain, like I think it's actually a chain. It's in different states, but of course we don't have one. And a lot of people will tell you, okay, this is really important. Beaches and Cream is an ice cream place right at Beach Club, right at Yacht Club. We could have gone to Beaches and Cream, but I'm here to tell y'all, Ample Hills Creamery is better. Now, they may not have the food offerings. It's all just strictly ice cream, but Ample Hills Creamery has something that even Beaches and Cream does not have. And I'll get into that in just a second. But before we get to Ample Hills Creamery, we got stopped watching a performer. And if you've ever been to Disney World or you haven't, just know that in the evenings, the boardwalk area has street performers. Boardwalk performers, not really a street. And you'll have like a magic show, comedy show, different tricks, people that are doing a combination of all of it. And it's usually really entertaining. It's good for kids. They throw in some adult jokes in there that kids don't quite understand. And it's awesome. And it's so much fun. And a lot of times the kids get to be volunteers. So you have them, hold their hand up real good and they'll be called. My daughter was called one time. So we watched that, and that took about 10 minutes. Then we headed off to Ample Hills Creamery, where I knew exactly what I wanted ahead of time because I'd ordered it the last year. It was an ooey gooey butter cake sundae, and it's really good. It's like served almost in like a bowl, like a waffle cone bowl. It's not a waffle cone, but I think it's served like in a edible bowl, and it's warmed up, the ooey gooey butter cake. And if you've never had ooey gooey butter cake, it's like instead of a chocolate brownie, it's like a cakey buttery bar, like it's a butter bar. And it's just delectable. In the South, we know what ooey gooey butter cake is. It's really good. And you can top it with 3 different scoops of ice cream. And you can do all 3 different scoops, 3 different flavors, or you can do the same. So I did 2 scoops of ooey gooey butter cake flavored ice cream and 1 scoop of red velvet ooey gooey butter cake flavored ice cream on top of an actual ooey gooey butter cake. And then I topped that off with some melted caramel. And it is so good. I shared it amongst a few of my children, so I didn't eat this all by myself. I don't think I could. It is so rich, but it is so good. Several other people got this too. I may have gotten like a different flavor for my kids, but I shared it among a few people, and it was really good. Very, very good. Get some water. If you don't already have some, like next door at the Boardwalk Bakery, you can get a free cup of water. You just walk in and say, hey, can I get a cup of water? And they will give you some. Now, they may actually give you a free cup of water at Ample Hills. I did not ask. We had already walked away, and I'd fully expected to go in this Boardwalk Bakery and buy a little bottle of water, but they instructed me that they could give me a cup for free, which was great because all we needed was a cup, because that ice cream did get, it's so sweet in your mouth. You just needed that water. So we stayed around the boardwalk a little bit longer, watched more performers, and then I saw someone doing caricatures. And something I've learned about Disney trips is that if you see something that is a good idea to do, like, oh, I want to get that, or, oh, that would be really neat to have, don't put it off for later in your trip. Do it right then, because the chances are you will talk yourself out of coming back to that spot to do it later. So it was already getting late, and I really just kind of wanted to say, you know what, that's a good idea. I'm going to come back, or we'll do that another time. Or you know what, I bet we'll find that at Magic Kingdom in a few days. I knew myself, and I knew so many times I'd done that and been mad at myself. And so I went ahead and did caricatures, and I love doing caricatures, silhouettes, anything that's personal, kind of artsy like this as souvenirs, because it's stuff that really will last forever. It's not going to be a junk souvenir. It's not going to be a t-shirt that you get holes in or stains in. It's going to be something that's actually hanging up on your wall, and hopefully it's hanging up on my wall when my kids grow up and they look back at these caricatures and they laugh a little bit and they remember. And it was really cute. Now, I think I ended up paying well over $100 for 3 different caricatures, but I also paid to get them framed. So I can't remember if it was like $30 a pop, or it was like 25, 30, or 40, and that included the frame. So I can't exactly remember, but regardless, even if I spent $150, that was for 3 of those, it was well worth the money, and now I have art on my wall and beautiful memories. I did get them framed in glass, but of course I drive a minivan. Now, if I was flying in, I could get those secured in like a tube. Like they could have rolled them up and put them in a tube that way for me to frame when I got home. And even people who do drive, they would probably rather store it that way. Me, I'm lazy when I get home. I procrastinate things. If I would have waited to put them in frames, I would have just put them in a drawer, forgot about them, and in 4 years from now, I'd feel really guilty for not putting them in frames and putting them on a wall. But by framing them, it kind of forces me that I have to put them up when I get home. So our first night there was pure magic, of course. Now, for those night owls or those that don't have kids, the boardwalk area does have some nightlife. You can go to a dueling piano bar, and it seems like last time I checked, I can't really remember. They had like a dance club, but I think they may have been shutting that down. But they still have the dueling piano bar if you want to check that out as a nightlife opportunity. I think you have to be 21 and up to go, but it's fun. Also, if you're staying at the Swan or Dolphin, they do have some later night like bar areas open. So not that you're just going there to party, but if you were solo or if someone was taking care of the kids and you just wanted to have a little drink, just go down to the lobby and you won't be alone. These are big hotels that are often filled with conference attendees, so it's not always families. So it's kind of a nice setting to just have a nice cocktail. They usually have some live music going on in the lobby, especially in the evening. So whether it's piano or a singer, there's going to be something going on that's keeping you entertained in that Dolphin lobby. So check it out. And if I haven't mentioned how much I love the Dolphin lobby before, let me reinstate. I love the Dolphin lobby. I love the entryway. I love the smell of it. I love the fiber optic ceiling with shooting stars. I just love this place. I love going to Fuel, which is a little like coffee place, quick service food location. You can buy some chips and you can buy frozen yogurt. You can buy, very overpriced goods for your room, candy, things like that. You can also buy like croissants and breakfast pastries and stuff like that in the morning, which a lot of people end up doing instead of going like out to eat at a restaurant. The plan for the next day was not to go to a park, but to just chill out more at the hotel. So we woke up, and actually my husband usually wakes up the earliest, so I think he took the kids on a little stroll in the stroller. They may have gone and got some breakfast, that Fuel place I just mentioned. When I got up a little bit later, we went to the pool and we stayed at the pool for a few hours. Again, there's some shady areas so you don't feel like you're just in the sun the whole time, which is nice. We could have easily done one of those little swan boats that are included as an amenity for staying there. They just get like your room card or room number, And we could have done that, but we didn't this time. I've decided that when it's really hot outside in the sun, those swan boats are very white. Okay. And the light coming up off of them is just, it's blinding. My son won't keep sunglasses on his face very long. So if we would have done that, he would have been pretty miserable. Me and my girls liked it for about 5 minutes last time we did it. I'm glad we did do it. It was really kind of funny. And I do encourage everyone to try it once. But since we'd done it last year, I didn't do it this time. There's also these random little photo ops at the Dolphin, which I love. There's a big playground. There's a big sandy beach area. There's volleyball nets. There's a little, there's like this little splashy area where the water will turn on and kids like to run through it. There's just so many amenities that are included in this resort. I just love it so much. We ended up having lunch. It wasn't really takeout. So right by the pool, there is this pool restaurant bar. I can't remember what it's called, if it's called Cabanas or whatever it's called. It is a restaurant that you can order there and you can just take it wherever you're sitting by the pool. Now they also have waiters that are constantly coming by the pool areas asking if you want a drink or if you want to look over a food menu. The food menu that you can order at your seating area at the pool is going to be a little bit more limited. So that's why we went the few extra steps. I mean, literally, we just walked over to this other bar area and we ordered the food. The food was actually pretty good. I can't exactly remember what we got. I know we got, I thought it was like a fruit cup, but it ended up being this whole big box of mixed fruit with, pineapple and watermelon and cantaloupe, and it was delicious. It was so good and so refreshing. It was huge. It was a lot of it too, and it was a lot of pineapple, like fresh pineapple. And I thought that was well worth the money. I can't remember how much it cost, but it was worth it. And then we also ordered like these chicken wraps or Mediterranean chicken wraps. I can't remember what all was on it, but it was nicely seasoned and it was really tasty. And we ended up using that for lunch. I think other people may have ordered a few drinks. It would be a nice place to do that. We typically bring a few drinks down to the pool for the kids, like water or Gatorade or juice boxes, so we can avoid having to spend too much extra money on drinks while we are there. I think before we had actually gotten to the pool, I took a little walk by myself. I tend to like to go on long walks and look at the sights, take pictures, just like to soak it all in. And I walked around all the Dolphin. I walked around the Swan. I walked all the way to Hollywood Studios. I didn't go in, but I just walked to it. And then I walked, past the Boardwalk Resort to kind of through it onto the boardwalk. Then I walked all the way to the International Gate of Epcot, so you can walk to the back entrance of Epcot, and kind of checked out some of the construction on the gondola system. Then I walked on the other side of the lake past the beach club, past the yacht club, and back to the Dolphin. I ended up going on, I believe it was about a 3 or 4 mile walk altogether. And I walk all the time anyway, so this was nothing for me, but it helped keep me kind of in shape. And then I also used the gym later that day just to make myself feel really good, which was great because this would be the very last time on my long 3-week vacation that I would use the gym or do any sort of significant exercise other than just your normal walking when you're at the theme parks. I also walked over to the Fantasia mini golf course, which was right across the street from the Swan and Dolphin. It's easy to walk to if you're staying at one of those resorts. Do not try to drive there or try to get transportation there. It'd be a waste of time. There's this little mini golf course. And I mean, it's not going to be as fun looking as some of those Pirate Cove adventure ones that you'll see in more touristy towns, but it was fun. They have 2 different types of courses. They have one that's kind of more fun with more obstacles for kids. And they have one that, what they told me, is kind of a more serious one with, actual, difficult maneuvering shots, less like obvious character obstacles, but more, it'd be increased difficulty. That'd be something my husband would like to probably do with someone else while, me and the kids do the more fun, whimsical version. So that was right there. That was neat. And that could be an option. I was also just looking at different things to do because I do like taking off days. I'm a firm believer in not burning yourself out when you go to Disney World. And so planning a mini golf excursion might be nice. I did notice that there was some shade around some of the mini golf course holes, and that is important, especially if you are going midday. That it would be really hot to do this, just like it would be going to a theme park. But I did notice there was a little bit of shade. It wasn't, I'm not going to say it's all in the shade, but there were several patches, several shady patches, which was nice. After everyone had naps, we got ready and went to Disney Springs. My husband and I and our kids, we took our minivan while the rest of my family just caught a bus, because that would be, a pain to bring their car if you don't really have to. They just caught Disney transportation there, which, for us, we can't easily do with the big double stroller. And we decided to go eat at Chef Art Smith Homecoming. And this is a newer popular restaurant down at Disney Springs. We've never eaten there. I've heard great reviews about it. It's more of a southern style cuisine that's very popular for their fried chicken. They have things like chicken and waffles and hush puppies, and they get rave reviews on lots of different things. I ended up really enjoying my meal here. I didn't get chicken. I'm not a fan of chicken like with the bone in, but other people who did get chicken really liked it. I got the short ribs, which ended up being more like a pot roast, which I'd already read about, and I heard it was good, and it was good. The mashed potatoes there are fantastic, so creamy and buttery. But the real winner here was the mac and cheese. Oh, it was so good. It was perfectly homemade. You could taste the cheddar and butter. It was delicious. Now, I'm not real sure if everyone else was 100% as pleased with it as I was, but I really enjoyed it. I would go back. I'm not going to rush to go there because I feel like I've done it. So it's not that I was so impressed that, oh my God, I got to do it again. But I did really like it, and I thought it was pretty tasty. For dessert, I had my mind made up on edible cookie dough. I'd been watching and listening to Disney Food Blog, and I heard that edible cookie dough is kind of making an appearance all over Disney World. And one of the places that you could go get edible cookie dough was at this place called Aristocrapes down at Disney Springs. And it's right over there by Rainforest Cafe. So I knew exactly where this was, and I went and got what's called a cookie dough flight. And I believe it had like chocolate chip cookie dough, brownie batter, and maybe like sugar cookie dough. And I dug in, and y'all, it was bad. It was not good. It was just sweet. Like, it didn't have any bit of butteriness to it. No, it's like they made the whole recipe but didn't add that pinch of salt. But it's like that pinch of salt is what really needed to be in it. I mean, I would much rather just go get your Toll House dough and just eat a square of it. It'd be much better and honestly worth the risk than this mess. It was not good. Just skip it. I hate to leave such a negative review, but it's just not good. It was not worth the money. So I would I'd much encourage everyone to get something else. Something that was really good that we tried for the first time, I think, was an Italian icy. My daughter wanted something like ice cream or something fruity, and we ended up going to this little bitty cart, and I believe it was kind of across from the World of Disney store, and it was Italian ice. And it turned out to be better than I even thought it would be. We were going to go to Ghirardelli's, but the lines were so long to get an ice cream sundae that we skipped that. We didn't really have any plans for the rest of the evening, but we were at Disney Springs. I knew I wanted the cookie dough, and that turned out to be bleh. And I did know that there was these little bitty fair rides. There's a little bitty carousel, and there's a little bitty train ride. And for some reason, my kids just love it. I believe it's something like $3 a ride. So you did have to have some cash to get these little tokens to go on it. But all three of my kids, they loved it. They thought it was fun. So off they went on these little rides. Now, parents, you do have to pay to ride with them. So bring your cash. At the same time, we heard some music, some dance music. And then we saw like this random dance party with a DJ going on over by one of the toy stores. And it was hopping. It was so much fun. The kids started dancing. The grown-ups started dancing. We ended up having such a good time that we stayed here probably for a good 30 minutes just letting the kids dance. And we got some good video footage of it too. It was adorable. Good family time. I took my kids into a toy store right there at Disney Springs, and my daughter found something she really, really wanted. It was this really cute Figaro toy. And here's where I didn't listen to my now sage advice of if you really like it, you may want to go ahead and get it. Now, usually I'm kind of against this strategy because for my kids at least, because my kids want everything. They really do. They want every toy they see, they want it. Every piece of candy they see, they want it. They want to buy it right then. If they would buy everything they wanted, they would be out of all of their, vacation allowance within day one. So my sweet middle kid, Martha, she said she really wanted this little toy Figaro cat carrier. And I said, you know what? If you still want it in a few days, we will come back and get it. Or I said something like, this toy is going to be at all the parks. I don't want to buy it now because a lot of the merchandise is everywhere. So if you see something you like, chances are you're going to find it in every other merchandise store you go in. Well, sure enough, this toy happened to be the one item that I didn't see anywhere else except this toy store. And when we did actually go back to buy it at the end of the week, like I'd promised my daughter all week long when she kept begging to go back and get it and talking about how sad she was that she didn't get it, turns out they had sold out. Y'all, I was so sad for my daughter because I'm the one who did this to her. She wanted it from day one, and I should have listened to her. I should have bought it, but I didn't. It's okay, though. There's a positive ending. I ended up finding it online, and I did end up getting it sent. But Disney stopped selling it. So I had to go through a third-party site to actually get this thing delivered to my house. But she wanted it then and there. She just had to wait. So I did feel bad, but just, I guess, keep that in mind, y'all, that there's going to be times when you just need to tell your kids no. And then every once in a while, there's going to be something you say, oh, we'll get later. And then it's not there. Use your best judgment, guys. It's a crapshoot. So our night ended beautifully after that dance party, after that Italian icy. I think I ended up going back to the hotel and getting my other daughter some ice cream. She'd really had her heart set on ice cream, not an icy. And I think we did a little night swimming, and that wrapped up pretty much our last night at the Dolphin. The next day, of course, was check-in day at the Grand Floridian. I knew I needed to wake up a little bit early to get things packed because for some reason, even though we only stayed 2 nights, it takes me 2 hours to pack up a room. Now, why? I don't know. It's probably because I have little packing cubes and I have all these little spots for every single piece of, all of my stuff. We bring a lot of stuff. So it just takes us forever to get loaded up. So I think my husband took the kids to breakfast the next morning while I packed up the room. It's much easier for me to pack. I know where things go than it is for my husband. So unfortunately, I have that chore of packing up the rooms no matter where we are. And I try to actually get my kids out of the room, especially if it's a little room. I need the space. I don't need them in there bugging me. So I sent them out and we packed up, loaded the van, and said goodbye to the Dolphin. I don't know when we will return to the Dolphin. And it makes me kind of sad because it's one of my favorite resorts. But I don't see in the next 2 trips we come down how we would be able to tack on any extra time, because the next time we go will probably be the next time we go in the summertime. We'll have to take our kids out early. So there's not really going to be that opportunity to tack on any extra time to the Dolphin. So I said goodbye to the Dolphin, but we were all looking forward to staying at the Grand Floridian. I'm going to talk more about the Grand Floridian and the rest of our trip for the next episode. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you've already forgotten, go to our Facebook page. It's Roadtrip WDW. Also, if you are traveling to Branson or interested in traveling to Branson, you might want to check out my Branson podcast of a similar name. It's Roadtrip Branson. You can find us on Facebook as well. Through that Facebook page is now Roadtrip Branson. We separated our Roadtrip Cast Facebook page into 2 pages because we think there's a need for it. I don't know why. We'd love any sort of comments, any sort of, friendly critiquing or suggestions. We are just hobbyists. Again, we aren't doing this for money. We're not getting paid for this. We'd love to. So, hey, if you want to sponsor something, we'd go for it. But, this is just our hobby. But we'd still love any sort of feedback we can get from you guys. We do have an Instagram account. And I believe we may even have a Twitter account. Y'all, I don't know. My husband has set all of that up, and I honestly don't check it. So Facebook is going to be your best bet to communicate with me. Now, as our podcast may grow a little and we understand what we're doing more, I think we will be more active in social media, different forms of social media. So right now, it's just, we're playing startup. We're just figuring it all out. But we would love to hear from you guys. That'll do it for today, road trippers. See you real soon.